that, no, we have to do something. The leadership decided to do it. And today, they are not facing the same challenge. So putting the blames on the nation, people are appointed to position. This is what we call leadership failure. Let's put it this way. People who have led us, apart from what I can say, maybe a champon, possibly domestication was trying. Apart from that, you could see President Kufuor did a little bit. But apart from that, everybody talks about arrest the currency, without looking at, you see, export diversification, serious one. I mean, you import rice 1.2 billion. And he used to be a trade minister. Well, how did the rice come into the country? Have they put any strategy to stop rice production in Ghana? We haven't. So if you blame everybody, you're reneging your leadership position, which I don't think is right. The leadership of this country has failed the nation, period. The leadership, period.
So when the deputy minister also says that the vice president and flag bearer of the MVP, Dr. Bawumia, is going to create a long-term framework for how our city performs, what do you make of that suggestion?
What framework is he proposing? Let me tell you. Until we begin to understand that it is what you export that brings you the currency. So the first leg of the issue is that today I can tell you that a lot of private sector people have gone in rice production. I've visited some of the farms myself. We should rather create an enabling environment for them. What I mean by very cheaper funds for farming, for those in rice, those in poultry and what have you. Apart from that, there is no magic one. I want to tell you, there's no magic one. If you're producing gold, yesterday I gave figures. I mean, for last 2023, we extracted 7.2. Ghana got only 935 million, not even a billion. Between 2014 and 2022, we extracted 43 billion worth of gold. The surrendered pension to Bank of Ghana was only 6.4 billion. So what magic one are you going to do? All that I'm saying that, let them come to full realization that we need to have a Marshall Plan that address this lack of exports and stop the English. We like English, but I'm telling you, if we decide to go into the export, expand the areas like rice, maize, shea butter, salt. I mean, that's why yesterday I was saying that. I want to commend Dan Mantan, because if he's able to do his salt, at least Nigeria will not be importing 1.5 million tons of oil from salt from Brazil, which is equivalent to about $3 billion. I mean, you can do it. This is the strategic thinkers. So we encourage the private sector to go in with cheaper funds, easy accessibility to these things, so that they can go in. Apart from that, I want to speak categorically for a developing country. There is no magic one. Look at Nigeria. They export oil 1.5 million barrels a day. But look at how they're set into the naira, because the consumption pattern is imported dependency. And it is not, if you haven't produced locally, you can't stop importing. When they wanted to ban the rice, what did the IMF tell them? Look, have you created an enabling environment to produce locally? You can't do that. They won't allow you because farming will come. So the question that the way people are explaining it and talking about it, as if it's as easy as it is, but it's not insurmountable. If the leadership should look at the paper I presented yesterday and sit down one by one, you can see that I have set out the policy, the agenda framework for anybody who wants to change this country in 4 years. Other than that, all the things I'm hearing, some of them look too sweet to be good, because we've heard it. Somebody said that when I come, it will come 10 cities. As if dollar is printed in Accra. Dollar is not Accra. People have said it before. They arrest the dollar. They arrest the city. It didn't happen because the arresting of the dollar depends on your foreign exchange generation, which, as you say, the taste is already there. So you can't say abruptly, because if people are importing drugs, let me give you a example. Drugs, unfinished drugs, pharmaceutical. You can't get one day and say we're stopping it, because I don't know, everybody's going to die. And so, my brother, I don't support these statements that looks like too sweet to be true. They must be actionable. All the things I said, it must be actionable. Actionable means that this is what I want to do. This is what and you say this is where I want to go, and that's how I'm going to go it. I bet you the next 3 years, we're going to prefer for 4 years, we will reduce the country.
It's been a while since we heard Dr. Bawumia directly speak about the city. He has been speaking about it. He has spoken about gold being a key factor in how we, hunker down, or shall I say, anchor down our currency, the city. I would want us to together listen to him and what he said, and then I'll ask you a few questions based on that. Deal?
All right.
All right.
How much did we have to go and borrow from the IMF? 3 billion. Over 3 years. But we can get 3 billion a year in gold from the small scale mining sector alone. Alone. That changes our balance of payments completely. Completely. This is every year you can get this. And it's there. It's being mined every year, taken out to India, to Dubai, and other places. So I want us, essentially, I made mention of this on February 7th, that ultimately my goal is that we are going to back our currency with gold. That is where I want us to go. Increasingly back our currency with gold, because it is very easy for us to do so if you keep having the gold reserves. And that will keep a lot of stability in the exchange market. Because right now, we don't have an anchor to hold the currency. But if we back it with gold, it will be very stable, because its value ultimately will be reflected by the value of gold, which is very stable. And so this is a major change that I want us to bring in, to look at the management of our natural resources and look at how we can accumulate gold to back our currency and increase our reserves. And once we are accumulating gold to the level of $3 billion equivalent every year, you can just imagine what will happen in 10 years for this country. Then it just changes completely. Completely. So you are accumulating this gold and you are backing your currency with it. And that makes it a completely new natural resource management regime. So you are controlling your resources. You are getting a stronger currency as a result. And that is where I believe Ghana should be going. And these small-scale miners, we will essentially support them. And this is why I want to establish a minerals development bank. A minerals development bank to help our mining sector. We don't only have gold, we have lithium and all other things. But if we get a financial institution that will focus on this, I believe that we can really help them, the mining companies, get a lot of equipment that is needed, because that is ultimately what is needed to mine the gold responsibly. And that is what we will do. We will make sure we empower our miners and have control over our resources and make the resources, the returns.
Mr. Chinese, you heard the Vice President speaking about gold being our surest bet to back our currency and to halt the depreciation. Talks about a mineral development bank that will be create an avenue for those who mine our gold, to buy from them directly, provide a lot of incentives and support for them, and have the gold back our currency. What do you make of this?
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. All these good ideas were there. Why we didn't implement it initially? But let me take it one by one. Gold standard has been practiced earlier, before the Second World War. It was practiced all over the world. Currencies had to be backed by gold. All central banks had to buy their currency by gold. Somewhere along the line, after the, Second World War, then the trade, 1958, after, 1958, the trade basis of the world shifted to pound sterling. UK pound sterling. Then after the first Israeli crisis, with the Golan Heights time, then businesses shift to dollar. So consistently, there has been currency or something near currency that back the currency. But the question, what I heard him right was saying that you extracted 7.2 exported nearly 6 billion. You only got less than 1 billion. How long is he going to tell you to build the reserve of the 3 billion? It means that we need to have to go and renegotiate, because for the gold people already, I don't mean the illicit ones, the ones he's talking about, we are only having a return of 13 to 14%, the lowest in, I think, Africa. Botswana used to have the same challenge with Anglo DBA on diamond. They said, no. On 2022, they told them, no, up your game or leave the gold diamonds there. They up it to 20 and then 30, this year 30. So maybe he would engage the big ones and look at the returns and up it. Then that one, it means you can get 7.2, 20, 30% will give you about 2-point-something billion. That will somewhere come in. On the other side of the mining bank, I find it quite incredible that I think we've always thought that developing institution will solve our problem. It doesn't work like that at all. We have set, look, Achampon set housing, Bank for Housing. He said SSB. Does it solve the problem in banking? This previous government talked about Ghana Exim Bank coming to support export and development. It hasn't done its work. The recent one is Development Bank, which is supposed to see development like in the agri businesses. Go and ask them how much have they invested in their business. It's not setting up institution. It is to get the framework right. Because you see, currently, our environment has been destroyed by the so-called people he want to regularize and make them bank. If he doesn't take care, he will get the gold, but he will use all the gold to import water from, and then it will become another import-dependent economy. The environment is seriously be destroyed, because I went to Bosonwu 2 weeks ago. If I saw the damage and destruction of these people, I'm wondering why people want to ratify illegalities and to make it right, because we want gold. If they want gold, they should rather form a consortium, a partnership, or limited liability, so that they can be given a proper license to do gold, not what they are doing. What they are doing, the end point is destruction. We will import water. So, me being environmentalist, when you talk about that ratification of I disagree. And the mining concept bank, too, I disagree. Because how many development institutions have we set? Kwame Nkrumah, of all people, they're one of the brilliant people we've got, set a development bank, agric. Well, what have we turned it into be? He said, NID, what have we turned into be? It is not a solution, a panacea to our problem. The panacea to our problem is that let us get the framework right. Export diversification, supporting with cheaper fund for people who are going to rice and poultry and all these maize, shea butter, salt, industrial salt. This is where the problem is. Let us find a concrete solution. When we come to the mining sector, you need to up your game. You can't give a return. Her ladyship, Mrs. Sofia Kufu, the former chief justice.
Yes.
He said something about lithium. And nobody knew, people didn't understand. He said this model is the same as the Gordon-Gaddisberg model, meaning that you mine your land, destroy your environment, get a return of 13, 14%, and you clap for yourself. Is that what's being done in South Africa? Is that what is being done in South Africa? Why do we belittle ourselves? Let us call a spade and sit down and do the right thing. If you do the right thing, the city in the next 5 years, IMF can support us with the IMF and the World Bank, the donors cannot support the decline of the city. It is only a temporary solution. Let us look at what we call the short term, the medium term, and the medium term strategies, including serious export diversification, so that you will import rice. All those things they are talking about gold standard, it is neither here nor there. It is neither here nor there. You're only getting less than 1 billion. How can you support a currency with it? The current 3 billion does not even support the currency. If you get 3 billion, oil takes 2.4 billion every year. 2.4 billion for oil, conservative price. So you'll be left with how many? 600 million? Can 600 million support the other sector?
But Mr. Chine, much as you say we are not getting much out of the gold, is it not time for us to look long and hard about how to renegotiate the terms for the gold that is being mined in this country, especially by the foreign companies? Can it not be a starting point for how much we're getting?
I thank you for this important question. This is a very, very relevant question. In yesterday's delivery, I said that Ghana can send people to Botswana who have just recently negotiated the return with Anglo-American De Beers, who mine the diamonds. So what you're saying is in the step in the right direction. Let us get to them and tell them that, look, you can't leave your mining, destruction of the environment, creating problems, and then you take a return of 13 to 14%. This one is for free. Somebody is taking 86% of your resources, and you want to clap your hands for him. Why don't you sit them and tell them, look, you need the gold. We also need the foreign exchange. Please up your game to 25. If you can't do it, let us leave the minerals resources down there. We will look for somebody who will come and do it. And they can do it. So your point is too valid. A time has come for those who are talking and looking for position to begin to think and engage these foreign institutions who have been exploiting us over the years. Over the years, this 13% started as far back as Gordon-Gagisberg's time. But nobody wants to touch it. They say it's called foreign direct investment. Anybody who came to this country to mine, even in 2019, he might have paid all his capital. The things he got, he must have paid off because you're taking 86%. 86% of the revenue. Why wouldn't you pay? So what you're saying is very, very relevant. And I hope your statement would turn to those who are talking and making noise, that they should look into your statement and see, can't we sit down again? After all, contract is meant to be renegotiated. Contract cannot go on as it was in 1900 and then 2024. So what you're saying, if they choose to have the courage and be very transparent and get experts, there are too many experts in this country. I don't want to mention names. There is one kingpin who has been in mining that he knows the up and down. Such a man sit on a negotiation table like they did in Botswana. They can't just take 86%. They will decide to give you about 25 and you'll be okay at least. So what you're saying is very relevant, very, very important contribution.
The central bank has, and I saw the finance minister mention this some time ago. I mean, just last week. Gold for oil, gold for reserves. I want to put aside the gold for oil because that's been a long conversation. The gold for reserves point. If we renegotiate contracts with the mining companies and then have a second look at how small scale mining is done and have the country be the first to buy or the one with the first option to buy the gold, can that alone as a policy help to back our Ghana cedi?
Well, thank you very much once again. I think your second point of the question is very important. Regularizing and rectifying the way the illicit people are doing the mining and exporting the mine. If we can curb that, if we can curb the illicit, which is going on this in the destruction, and regularize it properly, I think it will be one of the steps in the right direction, at least added to the higher return from the existing big ones. But my only concern is that the illicit people are basically destroying all that we have. And all that the Lord gave to us is land. And basically, the way they are ransacking the land, my worry is that has he got the courage to be able to put the right framework and structures for them so that our water bodies like Pra River and Cobra, they're all destroyed now. So if he has the courage, let me say, don't let it be a political talk. Let them have the courage. Stop it and design a framework that would stop this destruction of our water bodies. If they do that, and they get the up return, as you discussed earlier, then we may be, but there's the soul of the matter. This will help, but the soul of the matter is export diversification, aggressive export diversification. If we do that, brother, you will sit here the next 4 years, you will call me and say, you're giving us the right solution to our problems.
You keep using that word, courage, courage, courage. Is it your understanding that our political leaders do not have the courage to make or take the long, hard decisions that will put us in a better position for tomorrow?
You see, they go and make statements. I heard somebody say the CD will be 10 CDs or the dollar will be 10 CDs. I mean, somebody say that I'm going to fix spare parts. You look at that statement and you sit down and ask yourself, as if the dollar is printed in Mokola. The dollar is not there. So why do you fix it? But you see, our politicians, they always want to dance to the tune of the people. That is why at times the World Bank, the IMF comes in and tell us to take a hard decision. If our leadership can speak the truth and not lie, speak the truth without fear or favor, and explain why we are going through that. I mean, look at what the deputy minister said, that we are all part of the problem. When we have elected you as a leader leads, a leader directs, a leader guides. You pursue your strategy that is in the interest of the nation. It is not those who are voting you who are coming to tell you what you should do. So if you fail, don't put the blame. That's why I say that is a policy failure. Anybody who's focused on the citizenry, this is a complete failure. Such a person should not have a part. He should not even be elected because he hasn't got the guts to say what is the truth and nothing but the truth, because he wants to dance to the tune of people. When the currency is going, then you tend to blame us. So our leadership, if they want to be leaders, I mean, if you look at Margaret Thatcher, when I was in school, I mean, he came and said, look, these institutions like state SOEs, no, it can't go on like that. Within 1 year, he privatized the British Telecom, and they made profit, and where the company was making losses. I mean, these are the type of leaders you need, who can speak to issues and take decision which is in the better interest of the country, and not those who go and make pronouncement without even data and science. They go and say something. When they ask him, why are you going to get $1 from me? He doesn't even know that dollar is from Biden's country's money. So I'll still talk about boldness, courage to speak the truth in your election deliveries. Say it as it is, and let people understand that when I come, it is not going to take a 2-day solution. Some can take as long as the mining and the remittances, for instance, are short term. We can address it within space of 6 months. The mining negotiation may be another 1 year. But the export diversification, my brother, it will take close to 3 to 4 years, especially if you go into rice, maize, poultry, shea butter. We are lucky Dan McDan is doing salt. That one, if we all come together, this problem is not insurmountable. But our leadership must summon courage based on truth and honesty with integrity, not making statement which is not feasible or workable.
All right. Mr. Chani, as always, I want to say a big thank you to you for joining us. Always agree with your insights and your perspectives. We're grateful.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too, sir. And thanks for your time. Richmond Banahene is a senior banking consultant, finance and banking consultant, joining us this morning with his thoughts there. Time check, 25 minutes to 9. You're listening to Morning Star. We're live here on the Crown Starr FM. We're also live on Empire FM in Sekanita Kradi, Ultimate FM in Kumasi. And around the world, we are live at starfm.com. We're also live on Zeps FM in Zebila. Short commercial break now. When I return, we're going to fix our attention on a couple of things. First, the Member of Parliament for North Tongsamo Okudjeta Ablakwa is laying down a private member's bill, ostensibly to look at how politically exposed persons look to possess state property. We'll look into that. Also, we'll have a rounded conversation and bring you a special report on our maintenance culture as a country. There is something deeply wrong that we need to address. And then finally, there's something beautiful that's coming. It's coming, it's huge, it's magnificent, and I want you to know all about it. I'll fill you in on all that after the break. Stay with us.